Congressman Jolly, I'm going to start with you. I want to take a listen. Ron DeSantis on the stump in Iowa today. We're going to discuss on the other side.
Now, in Florida, we chose facts over fear. We chose education over indoctrination. We chose law and order over rioting and disorder. We held the line when freedom itself hung in the balance. We refused to let our state descend into some type of Faucian dystopia where people's livelihoods were ruined and their freedoms were curtailed.
All right, so that set list is all the greatest hits. That's exactly what he wanted to campaign on. We thought it was going to come July 4th. Everybody flipping burgers. Ron DeSantis talking about freedom on Independence Day. I don't know that that frame works anymore, David Jolly. I don't know that President Biden, in his opening ad, hasn't already jujitsu'd the freedom frame away from someone like Ron DeSantis.
And the honesty and integrity frame. Ron DeSantis is lying there. They did not embrace facts. He's denied science, in particular regarding the COVID vaccine and a false report, a false edit they made to the increased risk of death to male teenagers. He's denied history. We know that through his banning of books. And he's actually abused the powers of his office, the biggest affront to law and order that a governor can take. So I think Donald Trump has him both on the freedom question, but also on the integrity and honesty question. And at the root of all of DeSantis's policymaking, Alicia, you nailed it, is kind of a value-driven question about personal freedom. You cannot claim to be a state that is free when you marginalize the LGBT community, the black and brown community, and you, frankly, continue to disenfranchise many of those voters. I think any Republican nominee that comes out of this GOP field will be a rich foil for Joe Biden, but particularly Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. The two frontrunners actually exacerbate the greatest weakness of Republicans today.
Philip, as you are watching this field unfold, talk to me about the needle they are all trying to thread, right? Where they don't want to talk about Donald Trump. Most of their policy positions are defined by Trumpism, and yet they know they can't totally alienate his voters. They have to make a play for him, but they also have to make the argument that they are a better candidate than he.
Yeah, I mean, you summarized it, right? And this is why Donald Trump is consistently above 50% in the polls. There are two lanes in this contest, right? There is the you are Donald Trump lane, and there is the you are not Donald Trump lane. And everyone is sort of trying to position themselves as best as possible in the not Donald Trump lane, while at the same time not alienating those people who are voting based on the leading candidate in the Trump lane, who, of course, is Donald Trump, because that's who he is. It's sort of fascinating. If you look at the polling data, Ron DeSantis is actually also in the Donald Trump lane. He's saying all the things that Donald Trump says. Over the course of the past several months, basically the two of them combined have had the same number, the same percentage in the polls nationally, and it's just that Donald Trump has been taking poll numbers away from Ron DeSantis. So Ron DeSantis is sort of stuck behind Trump in the Trump lane. Everyone else is just sort of jockeying, sort of keeping their fingers crossed that, you know, maybe someone gets hit by lightning while he's out playing golf in Bedminster, right? You know, there's not really any clear path for them to toe the line that you just described. Like, you can't win. We saw this in 2016. You can't win by saying Donald Trump's a great guy, but you should vote for me. It just doesn't make any sense, and no one has yet figured out any other better way of beating Donald Trump.
Well, Jennifer Rubin, that brings us to Chris Christie. You write, Christie's highest value to the party and to the country, not unlike the contribution of former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, is to mount an effective takedown of Trump in the Republican presidential primary that either brings the GOP to its senses or hobbles him going into the general election. Do you think he's ready to do that, Jennifer Rubin?
I think it's his only purpose for being in the race. He is not going to be the nominee. The party really doesn't like Chris Christie, but he has the verbal skills, the presence, the aggressiveness to throw a lot of punches, both at Trump and at Ron DeSantis. And one thing he brings is the experience of a prosecutor. And when Donald Trump does find himself indicted, perhaps multiple times between now and the nomination, Christie is going to say, this is not going away. You guys need to face the music. You cannot nominate a candidate who may have to stand trial or even be convicted. So there's really no one who's willing to make that kamikaze run at Trump other than Chris Christie, I think.